So, I was thinking, I've done this so many times where, like, if I want to change a color of some sort, I would like zoom in, start clicking, start selecting the things that I want to do. Take me like 2 hours to do a picture. We don't need that. We don't want that. There's a better way to do it. Let me show you how. Hey, what's up guys? You're Matt here at Monster Gadgets. Welcome to episode number 10 of Tutorial Thursdays. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you might be. And today we're looking at the masking tool in Adobe Lightroom. Now this particular tool has got a lot of benefits, and you really have to get into the creative side of how to use this tool, but really the possibilities are endless. I'm going to show you a couple examples on two photos. First, we'll take a look and see how you can change eye color. You can really use this for changing t-shirt colors. You can do like a background change if you want. Anything you name, anything that you select, you can basically change colors for. So we'll take a look at that first. And then second one, we'll take a look at a beach picture that I took, which you guys have seen in my previous post. We'll take a look and see how we can basically amp up the sunset that was taking place at that time. It looks pretty boring as a flat sunset, but after you edit it with the masking tool, it basically comes to life and gives it a much better look. So we'll take a look at both those examples. Again, this tool has a lot of capabilities, so when you guys actually see it in action, go back to your photos, maybe use it and see how much better your photos look with this tool. But it is absolutely amazing. So let me stop talking. Let's go ahead and get into Adobe Lightroom and let me show you what that looks like. All right guys, so here we are in Lightroom, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna come over to the right-hand side here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and select the brush here. You can either hit K on the keyboard, or you can go ahead and click on the brush here. And what you'll see is you'll see the brush come up at this size. And if you want to make it bigger or smaller, you can simply scroll down where it says brush. You can go ahead and make the size bigger, or you can make it smaller. You can also use the feather feature, so towards edges, it's going to feather out a little bit. I personally don't like to do that just because I want to keep it nice and clean. And the flow, I like to leave it at 100 because that way it's more of a direct fill. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit smaller so it's got the right size for the eyes here. And one thing that I want to show you is, this is a trick that I was talking about earlier, is if you have your brush selected and you simply click on where it says show selected mask overlay, what that'll do is that'll basically put in a color of wherever you click. So for example, if I click there, that's the area that it's going to work with. That's going to affect whatever changes we make on the right hand side here. So what you want to do is I'm going to go ahead and undo that. If you simply just click, it'll select the area wherever you click. But because we don't want it to bleed out of the actual area you want to work with, in this case it's her eyes, we only want to select the blue area. So if I hold down Command and click, it's only going to fill in the area that basically where the plus is. Now every now and then it might bleed out a little bit. All you do is just undo it, Command and Z, and you just try to fill in the area that it's going to only select the area you click on. So Command and click, and it'll go ahead and select that area for you. So in this case, like I said, it's going to bleed out sometimes. It did that right there. So maybe we'll try that a couple times and see if it does that. So kind of did it in the blue area here. So maybe what we can also do is make the size just a little bit smaller, and then click on it and see if it'll fill in smaller areas like that. So perfect. We'll go ahead and select all the blue areas so that way it is selected fully. And we'll know that again because it's turning red because we selected this option. So if we deselect it, that's what it is. So the red area is all currently being selected. All right. So once we've got, I'm going to just do a quick one here so you guys can see, but obviously if I was doing this for a client or something, I will take a lot more time filling in all the areas. So once I've got everything selected, which in this example looks pretty decent, I'll go ahead and deselect that, and I'll come back here and I'll mess with the temperature a little bit to change how I want it. So if I want it more blue, I can turn it up. If I wanted a different color, I can turn it up to the desired temperature. So for example, we'll leave it a little bit cooler if we want to go for more of a green effect. So we'll go ahead and make this a little bit more green. and then we'll come down and we'll mess with our exposure settings a little bit. As you can see, that is coming down quite a bit. That looks decent. If I want to, I can also work with the shadows, but in this case, again, for a quick demo, you guys can see this looks fairly decent. If I turn the saturation up, it makes it really stick out. I don't want it to be too fake, so I'll leave it maybe a little bit higher, but enough to where, as you guys can see, it looks good. So this is the first example I wanted to show you, so we'll go ahead and hit done. And if you hit the back arrow, the back/ key, it'll give you the before and after. So this was before, this is after, or you can click on the side-by-side view and you guys can see what that looks like. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our next example. This was just a brush, but we'll go ahead and do another layer, and I'll go ahead and show you on a image that we can go ahead and maybe add a sunset. So let's go ahead and look at that. All right, guys, the next image we'll be working with will be this image. This is actually the end product. I've used this image in a previous tutorial on how to remove objects. So I'll go ahead and leave a card here so you guys can go check that out if you haven't. But before original image actually looks like this. So this is the original image, and this is the after the completed image. But for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and use this one because it'll be easier to use, so I can go ahead and show you how I made that sky. So basically what you do is you go ahead and come on to the right hand side here, and you go ahead and pick this filter, the radial filter, and we're just going to go ahead and make a box. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this over here and maybe resize it a little bit just so that it's hitting just to crowd the clouds and not so much the actual water. So what this allows you to do is this is only going to change, again, the settings. That's going to be the settings we're going to change here is only going to change the actual photo in the selected area. So in this case, we're not using the brush, but we're using the actual tool, and we're going to go ahead and make this oval. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make the sky a little bit warmer, and we'll go ahead and mess with the tint a little bit to see what that looks like and where we want it to be. Probably more so of maybe around here or so. So we'll make this a little bit warmer so it looks like the actual sunset. And then from an exposure standpoint, let's go ahead and drop the exposure and really make that pop out. Let's go ahead and turn the saturation up a little bit, and maybe somewhere around here or so. That should be decent. The highlights, if you want to change the highlight, you certainly can. If it's becoming a bit too much, we can go ahead and lessen that a little bit to maybe around here, and that looks fairly decent. So again, it's a matter of just being able to use these tools and playing around with the settings to see what you like it as. To me, that looks fairly decent. It looks like a good sunset. And let's just go and hit done. And then again, if you hit the back/ key, it'll give you the before, and then here is the after. So that looks more like a proper sunset. It looks decent. If you want to be able to get rid of some of the space that's here, all you got to do is come back to your tool here, and then we'll go ahead and click on it, and then we'll just go ahead and expand this out and make it a little bit bigger. So let's go ahead and drag it out and maybe make it bigger like this, and then we'll just go ahead and bring it up a little bit so it'll fill up the edges there. And it actually also gives a little bit of that color in the water, so it makes it look a little bit nicer. So that looks more realistic, it looks more filled in, and it looks like a decent sunset to me. And so that's it, really. Again, a few more clicks and that's how you can get it done. If you want to take it one step further, again, if you want to maybe pick some areas where you want to lighten things up, you can just simply go here, click on new, and then we'll just click and draw a new area. So if you wanted to make this a little bit brighter, you certainly can. Maybe change exposure settings to make it look somewhat brighter, and just like that, it's done. So before and after, a lot more colorful. You can go further. Again, I'm just giving you guys a quick example. You can go further and turn up the saturation if you wanted to. You can do a lot of things with a lot of the tools that you have here, but with just a few easy clicks, you can turn this type of photo into a more colorful, eye-pleasing photo. Now guys, one thing you have to be mindful of, again, this was just a quick example. If you have any objects in the front that you're working with, so since we changed the exposure setting for the beach, when we selected it, any object that come in between it, it's going to change that as well. We didn't notice it too much up here because of the actual color and color of the background and color of the foreground. But here, because we made it brighter by increasing the exposure, anything that's in that area that we selected, again, this one being this oval here, it's going to go ahead and impact anything that comes in between it. So just keep that in mind. You might have to do it in smaller portions, or you might have to do it a little bit less, so that way the things in the front aren't affected, or you can simply use the brush tool and only select the areas that you want to do. So just keep that in mind, and let's go ahead and jump out of Lightroom. Hey guys, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you have any suggestions, comments, or questions, leave them down below in the comment section, and make sure you subscribe to my channel, turn on that bell notifications to be notified every time I upload a video, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.